Hello everyone and welcome to Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 series, sponsored by SimQuips, and tonight we are at Mount Panorama at Bathurst for what promises to be the highlight of the season. I truly cannot wait for the carnage this evening is about to unleash on all of these drivers, as the beast that is the mountain is going to cause some traffic woes for these drivers who are out on track right now in the Porsche Cups. But right now they don't have that to worry about, as they have the track all to themselves in this qualifying session. And Tobias Szynski is the first of our drivers to go and attempt to set a flying lap, as we will we'll stay off board this time for the qualifying run, as that Rexy livery is a good one to look at there on the car of Tobias Szynski. See how many of the dinosaur crew are out in strength on the track tonight. But for those of you uninitiated with this Bathurst circuit, you will hear me referring to the mountain a lot during this commentary, and this is that section of track that we find ourselves on right now. Very narrow, very twisty, walls in close proximity, very hard to get past another car. And with this multi-class race and the difference in pace between our two classes will be a very interesting ingredient in this race. And as Tobias Szynski comes off the bottom of the mountain now and onto the long stretch known as the Chase, the longest flat out section of the this race circuit, and completely flat out through the kink and into the braking zone for the chicane. Szynski will be the first of our drivers to complete the first flying lap, followed in quick succession by the fake Subaru behind of Balazs Feher, and I believe Busso just shortly behind, as Tobias breaks the beam, sets a 206.0. As we're already seeing 204.5s from Busso currently setting the pace right now, with Manuel Antrax and Nitro now adding themselves into contention. But it is Johan Leff who is the unsurprising pace setter at this early stage in the qualifying session. And we do have the return of Rhys Tattersall tonight, so will be a battle for the lead. As Florent de Moor crosses the line, goes P9. That's John Sawyer. It's a 204.312, some 700ths of a second faster than P2 driver. Well, actually, no. P2 driver now Robert Weibeck, who's just rounding the first corner now, just 8 thousandths of a second slower than John Sawyer. It is close at the front. Top three split by less than a tenth of a second, and we've still yet to see a lap from our championship leader, or I should say our reigning champion, no longer championship leader, after missing out on the previous round, and has got a what looks like a somewhat inappropriate livery on that car. Rhys Tattersall going out of his way to get this stream demonetized, I think. I don't think it would be inaccurate to say he has got a cock on the side of that car. But Rhys Tattersall setting the pace with a 305.582. And while we were saying it was close at the top, close it no longer is, with Rhys Tattersall 5/10 of a second clear of the rest of the field, as Johan Leff closing that gap up. Now only 1/10 off of top man Reece Tattersall, and Sam McCarthy putting in a decent lap. A 2:03.742, solid lap there from McCarthy, and yep, it's looking close at the top again. Still a number of drivers yet to set their first flying laps. Those are Kravchenko, Parry, Lax and Ducharme. As I believe Matthew Parry has just set a flying lap. Either that or I have gone completely blind and missing it. Oh, nope, still no lap from Matthew Parry. As he comes through the chase, is on a valid lap right now. Also yet to see a lap out of King, so just over 3 minutes remaining for this Porsche Cup class. These drivers need to be careful, need to just keep themselves within the track limits, keep these laps legal, get something on the board, because they do not want to be starting behind any of the M2s on that first lap, because as they head into the mountain for the first time, they could end up half a lap behind before their race even gets started. As Robert Weidbeck, now the driver in P2, just 0.04 of a second behind Reece Tattersall, who is on an improving lap right now, having just started their lap actually, so it will be a little while before we see that time out of Tattersall. Is also improving on a lap. And we try not to jinx Sam McCarthy as he comes through the chicane. He's got Manuel Antrax just ahead of him, but is on a very fast lap at the moment. And just one corner to go. Has he benefited from the slipstream coming down the chase? Getting the most he can out of that final corner. And this could see Sam McCarthy go fastest. He does. A 2:03.270. A very solid lap, and doesn't look like it's being challenged just yet by anyone. We will keep an eye on that. Reece Tattersall currently halfway through a lap as we speak. Plenty of time for him to find as well. But many drivers now will be going on to their final lap of the session. As what can Reece Tattersall do? Oh, no, we do not want to go to that view. This is me now trying to remember what is my interior view. There we go. As Reece Tattersall heading down through the chase, and this is going to be a final sector to watch. He comes into the chicane. Just needs to not make a mistake through here for Tattersall, and this is looking like a very, very strong lap. My reigning champion throws it into the final corner. Nice and neat and tidy as we always expect from Tattersall, and that is a 2:02.9. First of our drivers into the 2:02s, and that is one hell of a lap to end on there for Reece Tattersall. As Felix Kotick on the start of a lap is finding plenty of time here, currently down in P17. We have now had a lap from all of our Porsche Cup drivers, so no one will be starting behind the BMW traffic, I would not imagine. Which is a good job for all of them Porsche Cup drivers, as they'll at least be part of the battle at the start. Hopefully they'll keep the battle between them and the other cars and not the walls. There's John Sawyer rounding final few corners. I believe that is Karol Piotrowski just behind them as well. Sawyer and Piotrowski in 6th and 7th at the moment, as Sawyer breaks the beam to take P5. Next up to cross the line will be Felix Kotick. who finds 1.8 seconds in that final lap to put themselves into P4. A very, very good final effort from Felix Kotick there. Exceptionally well done. Now the turn of Matthew Parry to try and improve. And improve they do, up into P3 and will be at the spicy end of the grid. And starting at the front of the second row, as all the BMWs now line up in the pit lane, and it is over to the BMWs, as I believe it will be the 93 of... Actually, no, it won't be the 93 of Kenny Cruz. There's someone on the lap, I think. Who is it? It is Sergei Sebastian. Sergei Sebastian leading this field? No, it's not. There are some ahead. Roland Schricker. It is Roland Schricker. He's first of the drivers on to that flying lap. A very long lap here for the BMW M2s. We'll be lucky if they get 3 flying laps during this session. So it should get 3 flying laps, but I think the 4th one might be a little bit of a tall order for them. It's looking like a little bit more of a sedate drive for these BMWs. All about maintaining that minimum speed through these corners. Now descending the mountain, getting that car nice and close to the curbs. And on to the chase. Maybe a little bit deep into the final corner of the mountain. The number 61 car of Sebastian, looking to steal a little bit of that slipstream as they come down through the chase from the distant toe. We've already got yellow flags in the mountain, and the last thing you want to be doing is hitting the wall on your first flying lap. It's a long out lap here and may just end up restricting yourself to that one flyer. As Roland Schricker rounds the final corner and crosses the line, sets the pace to start with. A 2:19.7 as Sebastian instantly goes faster with also a 2:19.7, just some 300ths of a second faster. And championship leader Andy Hudson, currently down in P3. These cars so much quieter than the Porsche Cups, barely hear them. We've got a few drivers just finishing off first of their laps. Jansman rounding the final corner. Crossing the line, going E37. There's the familiar livery of Svoboda. Onto the mountain section of the track, and this is where around the halfway point of this race we expect that the BMW M2s might become a little bit of the problem for the Porsche Cup drivers, as the traffic is going to be something to contend with, and with such a great pace difference and such a narrow circuit, I'm sure we're going to see some very impatient driving for those in the faster class. There's Andy Hudson benefiting a little from a slipstream here, as Lightbot moving out of the way of Hudson. And Hudson finding handfuls of pace. Is some seconds slower than Sergi Sebastian at the moment. But in the slipstream of Peltzer. And Hudson starting his next lap a little bit too close up the rear of Peltzer there. And Lightbot also starting a new flying lap. As Ryu's Tsukioji, apologies if I butchered that name. Heading on to start another lap, improving considerably in that lap. And I think some of these drivers don't necessarily put so much practice into these cars. They also drive in the GT3 races that Pitskill holds on a daily basis, and these are a bit more of a fun diversion for some of these drivers, so do find pace over the session. It's good to see people trying out new cars. Always makes you a bit more rounded as a driver as you jump into different machinery. There's Kenny Crows heading into the chicane. Not only up a bit on this lap and going deep into the first part of the chicane. Cost them thoroughly on the exit there. And in the end, I think Kenny Crow's not going to improve on that lap, getting a little greedy into the chicane. We'll still have one more chance at a flying lap as long as they've got enough fuel on board. As Sebastian and Schricker, yellow flags for these two drivers. Has Schricker just run out of fuel there? Was there an incident between these two? No. They both just run out of fuel? I am very confused as to what is happening. Oh, are they both backing off to try and get the best possible gap? Start a new lap. Looks like that's what's happening here. As Roland Schricker, I think, was also trying to do the same, and well, now he's going to start a lap right up behind Sergi Sebastian. And Andy Hudson not far off either, so this is going to be a little bit of a shootout here at the end of the session, with Andy Hudson some 0.7 of a second clear of the P2 BMW driver of Sergi Sebastian. So this is going to require a significant effort here for Sebastian, as this driver right here, Andy Hudson, setting the pace. Although will not have a chance to improve, so he's going to have to hope that that previous lap of his is good enough. As Sebastian finding time on this lap, but will it be enough, as a number of our drivers have crossed the line to end their session. Sebastian pushing hard. Giving it his all in through Skyline, descending the hill rapidly, chucking this car in. All or nothing on this lap, has already secured P2 by the looks of things. Roland Schricker not improving on this lap. So Sergi Sebastian really on a do or die mission here. And a little bit of a dinged up car there in front of Sergi Sebastian. And as he sends it through the ship, wow, Sergi Sebastian sends it minorly through the chicane. It looks like Roland Schricker sending it even more substantially. And, well, that will be a lap over for Roland Schricker. Doesn't quite look like Sergi Sebastian's done enough here as he crosses the line. A 2:19.375. Not enough to break into the 2:18s, and therefore not enough to unseat Andy Hudson from pole position, as Lightbot finds plenty of time in that final lap to go P4 in class. That was a good effort from... Oh, and as Jansman, who was on a vastly improving lap there, makes heavy contact with the wall, and well, that stops any improvement from them. They will start this race in P41. And, well, our grid is set, and one hell of a grid it is. There is a lot going on there, and, oh, Andy Hudson asking us a very important question that I don't think we can go and answer. Actually, we did not catch your two-wheel moment. I can't even go and get the replay of that, unfortunately, now. You're going to have to try again in the race, my friend. As we line up on the grid, it is time to go through our grid for tonight's race. And, well, before I switch this over, I will say those of a sensitive disposition, I can only apologise for what you're about to see. Do consider yourself warned. On pole position in the Cock and Kiwi Brewery livery is Reese Tattersall. And starting alongside him is the 117 car of Sam McCarthy. In P3 is Matthew Parry alongside Robert Weidbeck. In P5 we have got Felix Kotick. And in P6 is current Porsche Cup Championship leader Johan Leff. In P7 we have John Sawyer alongside Karol Petrovsky in the blue Rexy car, the first of our Rexys on the grid. In P9 is Busso alongside Christian Fager in the Unsafety Racing livery car. In P11 is Hans Luger with Balazs Fahir in the fake Subaru, starting in P12. The original Rexy Prime, the green Rexy, Tadeusz Ozymski, starting P13 in this race, with Florent Demort starting alongside him in P14. In P15 is Chris Wright with Alexander Hrabchenko in P16. Bjorn King in the gunmetal grey Rexy. Actually, not Rexy. I don't think this is actually more of a, as I pointed out last time, of an A10 livery. I do like the riveting that is in that livery design. Very classy looking car. And in P18 is Harry Redhead. And talking of redheads, is the distinctive livery of Manuel Antrax, who will be starting alongside Grzegorz Michalak in P20. Apologies, my grid has just decided to throw itself around, so it might be a slightly different starting order to what I'm reading out here. So that Klinger, P20, Manuel Antrax P21, so I'm not sure if someone's got themselves out of position, with Nitro in P22, Maya Van Dijk is in the Porsche Cup this week, not in the M2s. And we'll be starting in P23 with Martin in the No Practice Gang livery car. Starting in the pit lane, apparently. Good number of cars starting in a couple of cars starting in the pit lane. I think just getting themselves out of position there. Andrew Weidman in P26 with David Little in P27. William Broadcast in P28 with Vedvik in P29. And then we have another blue Rexy, Tim Ducharme in P30. In our BMW M2 grid, we have currently inserting itself inside Ducharme is Andy Hudson. Starting at P31, first in class in the only Dad's Racing livery car. We have Sergi Sebastian starting behind him, or alongside him on the grid. Roland Schricker, P32, P33, 30, third in class. Will be starting alongside T Lightbot. Kenny Crows is in P35 in this race with Robert Fish in P36. We've got Matthias Peltzer, who's still got it saying Met Hub rather than Port Cub on his car. Very disappointed. He will be starting P37. Svoboda in 38 with Marco Lorenzon in P39. In P40 is Alex Levinson with Jansman in P41. Tsukioji in P42 with Craig Douglas in P43. And finally we have got Tobbs Turvey rounding out our field in P44. As we approach the final corner of this Bathurst circuit, we will bring this formation lap to a close and get ready for the green flag here. Start this 30-minute sprint race here at Mount Panorama. And green flag waves, and we are racing. We head into the first corner. Reece Tattersall with a decent lead there, ahead of Sam McCarthy, Matthew Parry, Robert Weidbeck and Felix Kotick, as they all come reasonably tidily through the first corner. A little bit of door banging in the background there, but seeming like everyone is through and alive. I don't see any yellow flags on my timing tower at the moment as we head onto the mountain, and Matthew Parry is round and falling down the order. Also got yellow flags out for Harry Redhead and a number of the back of this Porsche Cup field. As Sam McCarthy also going for a bit of a slide there, and that has allowed both Johan Lev and Robert Weidbeck to catch right up to the back of him. Reece Tattersall with a substantial lead in this race now has managed to pull ahead of the rest of this field by 2.9 seconds. This all change in the background. In the BMW field, it has been a hideous start for Andy Hudson. Finds himself down in P7 in class. So we'll have to check in and see what happened in the race start for our lead BMW driver. Let's see how that race started for the BMWs. Heading up the hill as they were. I think we did see Andy Hudson getting a little bit of a side swipe there at the start from some of the Porsche Cups. Yellow flags are waving. See how the BMWs made their way through here. As it looks like most of this traffic out of the way. Everyone going quite slowly as there's slow cars moving up ahead. But a little bit of a change at the front, but everyone still seemingly in the correct order as we've got yellow flags again. Cars facing the wrong way as Manuel Antrax having a heavy crash there. What has happened to Antrax? Oh, a tank slapper. Oh, is that Johan Leff? That cannot be, surely. There's, well, absolute carnage going on. No, not Johan Leff. The race leaders still as they were. So Reece Tattersall 3.5 seconds up the road. And then we have got Sam McCarthy, Johan Leff and Robert Weidbeck separated by not much at all. Next pack on the grid are led by Christian Fager. He is leading John Sawyer, Hans Luger, Busso, Fahir and Rabchenko. And this merry little train heading its way up the mountain. And we'll see if we can catch what happened with Andy Hudson at the start, how he lost the lead of this race. Oh, a little bit of an argy-bargy with the Porsche Cup get there, and having to just carefully get himself back on track, and well, that's how he lost out the lead in class. As we can see already, a few BMW M2s trying to pick their way through the M2 traffic. Sam McCarthy establishing a little bit of a gap over Johan Leff, and just listen to that glorious sound of these cars heading through the chase. Some good, well positioned trackside microphones. As they head to start their third lap of racing. And McCarthy doing well to hold on ahead of Johan Leff, as Christian Fager making his way past Felix Kotick, and John Sawyer having a look up the inside of Kotick. This could compromise Sawyer on the exit, as Hans Luger now having a look up the inside, and yet again Alaj Fahir thinking it is in a real Subaru. Don't know how many times we have to tell him that that is not a real off-roading car. And see what, he takes himself onto the dirt. Looked like he was going for some of the old Scandinavian flick into the first corner. Now finds himself 2.8 seconds behind Rabchenko, and I think he may have found the wall earlier in the previous lap, as the front of that car not looking the healthiest. As we head up through the mountain, Christian Fager ahead of Felix Kotick, John Sawyer, Hans Luger, Russo and Rabchenko. There's yellow flags out for Vidvak as he starts to get going again. This is the lead pack of the BMW M2s. Kenny Crowe's leading Robert Fish up the mountain. We've got white flags waving for slow cars ahead. And at the moment, oh, that's Matthew Parry. Perhaps getting a little bit impatient there, swiping himself into the wall. He's got a couple of the BMWs in front of him. He's probably a bit frustrated that he's now got to stick behind them through this mountain section. There's Matthew Parry catching up very quickly to the back of Fish. And I think Fish maybe just a little nervous, having the faster class car behind him, has dropped back somewhat from Kenny Crowe's. As Martin as well, picking her way through those BMW M2s, and now on our way to start to close that gap down to Matthew Parry, who is now seems to be clear of Robert Fish. Section of the track to get it done on. Nice long straight advantage, swinging heavily in favour of the Porsche Cups, as we've got yellow flags out for Busso. What has happened to Busso? And oh, was there a little bit of a bump there? Oh, and a bit of a bigger bump with the wall. And oh, Busso pulling over to the side of the circuit, not having the best of races there. And there's battles throughout the field. Battle over P3 in the BMWs at the moment. Andy Hudson on the back of Sergi Sebastian. Hudson, who's really showing he had the pace in qualifying, doesn't seem to have sustained too much damage in that lap 1 incident he was involved in, and now on the attack. Is right on the back of Sergi Sebastian and has got clear line of sight to the 2 cars ahead, as I think that is Klinger and Antrax trying to make their way past the 2 BMWs. Now we've got more yellow flags out for the Porsche Cups, and they haven't even found the back of the BMW pack yet. Oh! Whoa, that was quite the crash there from Rabchenko as he gets going again. See that one from a different angle. This car, I think, just didn't want to turn. And, oof, nearly rolls it. Oh, yep, I am not surprised to see Rabchenko in the pit lane. That was one hell of a crash. As we are seeing considerable amount of damage for a lot of these drivers. There's Florent de Moor making his way past Tadej Szynski. Actually not getting past. Just holding on in front of Szynski. Szynski looks to the inside into the final corner. They're being closely tailed by Chris Wright. And there's all 3 of these cars looking like they're carrying some amount of damage. There's, yeah, it's like a number of these cars carrying various numbers or various amounts of panel gaps. As you can see from, I think that's Balazs Feher ahead with the gaping bonnet. There's Szynski having a look again. As Andy Hudson has made his way past Sergi Sebastian. Apologies, Hudson fans, we did miss that overtake. But he can start to think about closing down onto Fish and Crows ahead. There's our race leader. Now currently on the way towards the chase and beginning to catch up with this M2 field. But Reece Tattersall now 8.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field, and looking like he could walk this particular championship if he bothers to turn up to enough races. As unsurprisingly again, we have yellow flags out again for another car. This time it is Redhead who promptly returns to the pit lane. As I suspect a number of our drivers will be sacrificing a considerable amount of pit rep during this race. But so far this group here from P2 down to P5 keeping themselves relatively clean. Those cars looking like they're still in pretty decent condition. And Johan left, I think, just happy to capitalise on their P2 position for now. And catching on to some of these M2s who are very obliging in moving out of the way. I wonder if we'll see slightly less cooperation when these BMWs are fighting. We've yet to see any Porsches catching on to the bulk of the BMW field. Oh, as well, actually, we think we did just see one catching on to the back of the BMW field, and this is how it ended. Oh, and well done to the Porsche Cup driver there for making the use of the grass runoff to avoid going into the back of the car ahead. That is what we like to see. Sensible driving, sensible decision making. And what has happened to Kenny Crows, our number 93 car? As this car was leading the race in the BMW M2 class for a substantial while. But as we head up the mountains, Sergi Sebastian, who's managed to get himself past Andy Hudson, is now fighting for the lead in the BMW M2 class as they ascend up the mountain. Robert Fish holding on to that inside line, battling hard with Sergi Sebastian. They bump doors coming up the mountain. Sergi Sebastian holding on to that inside line now through this next section of circuit. Andy Hudson also trying to hang in there. And as they descend over Skyline, Andy Hudson chasing down Robert Fish again as Sergi Sebastian has cleared off ahead, it looks like. And just saw yellow flags for Robert Weidbach, now carrying considerable damage to the front of that car. As again, they're picking their way through the BMW traffic. It's all happening in this race at the moment. We'll check back in with the battle for the lead of the BMW M2 class. And we've got our race leader, Rhys Tattersall, slowly but surely catching on to the back of this battle as well as Andy Hudson looks to the inside of the chicane. As it's only boomers versus only dads hit as we head down into the final corner. And Andy Hudson now looking to the inside for the first corner. We want to try and get this move made before they head onto the long straight. Wants to take advantage of getting into that distant toe of Sergi Sebastian and have the ability to start chasing him down as Rhys Tattersall has now caught onto this battle at the most fortuitous place imaginable. And I wonder if Sergi Sebastian will opt to just give the room here to Rhys Tattersall before they head on to the mountain. And so, Rhys Tattersall is clear. However, some 10 seconds behind is P2 driver Johan Leff, who, well, thankfully for him, has actually got less company behind him now. So can just concentrate on getting past these cars ahead safely. Doesn't need to worry about a lunge up the inside if he's being patient. Makes his way past one car. And picking his way through. As interesting as that is, there's more interest over the battle heading down the hill between Fish and Crows. Crows trying to pick his way back forward. As we had an incident for Roland Schricker, it seems, who also returns to the pit lane, as is Van Dijk in the pit lane. And Alex Levinson off onto the gravel. I think indicating him getting out of the way there. Did he intend to indicate himself onto the gravel? Oh. Okay, so that was just a little bit of off-roading, but in the end, maybe just letting the traffic go and can get back on his merry way. Back in M2 land as Vedvik bouncing off over the grass, and P4 car of Sam McCarthy coming through, who sort of picked up a bit of damage in subsequent laps, as has Robert Weidbach. I don't think there are many cars out there which aren't carrying damage at the moment. This is turning into a real bum fight out here by the looks of things. As picking their way through this battle are Christian Fager and John Sawyer, who are in close proximity to one another. And currently separated by a car. Is John Sawyer going to get impatient through here? Picking his way through neatly with just a little bit of a snap of the car there. Could have let go of it, but at the moment holding on well, as it looks like imagine some of these BMW drivers fearing for their life a little bit, just trying to keep themselves predictable and let the Porsche Cups pick their way through. As we have a battle brewing over the lead of this BMW M2 class now. Andy Hudson finds himself back behind Sergi Sebastian. As Christian Fager picking his way through, followed by John Sawyer as they come through onto the chase. As Sergi Sebastian is going to have to give up the apex here. This could present an opportunity to Andy Hudson, who now finds himself right tucked up behind Sergi Sebastian. This race becoming all about traffic management and who gets lucky at getting overtaken or catching the traffic at the wrong or the right part of the circuit. And it was advantage to Andy Hudson there, who thankfully for him got overtaken on the straight. Sergi Sebastian not so lucky, he had to give up the apex into the chicane and is now under increasing pressure, with Hudson now tucked right up behind that rear wing. As they head up onto the start of the mountain. And looking like this time Andy Hudson, the one who had to just brake a little bit earlier to allow the Porsche through, and has lost out in some of that gap. That gap growing now to just over a second. As they climb their way back up the mountain. Got some battles brewing further down in the BMW class as well, as Matthias Peltzer looking to go around the outside of Marco Lorenzo. Side by side they go. A little bit of door-to-door contact as they switch sides, and this time Peltzer getting the overspeed, getting through, and Peltzer up into P26 in this race. And so this turning into a little bit of a race of attrition. We've already lost, I think, about 7 cars from this race. As with just over 9 minutes remaining, drivers just need to keep their cool. There's a lot of mixing here between the classes now through the mountain, with so many drivers out of sequence, having to return to pits. So much opportunity to catch up to a car of the wrong class, as Nitro now picking their way through with Gregor Michalak. There's a car just ahead of these two, heading their way through the dirt. There's Chris Wright and Florent Demour, a heavily damaged Florent Demour, actually also a heavily damaged Chris Wright by the looks of things, heading their way through the first corner. As up ahead of them we can see the battle between Andy Hudson and Sergi Sebastian. There's Blasphey here. Oh, has just picked his way through. It's both Wright and Demour bouncing their way over the curbing, taking a very wide line through the entrance to the mountain. As Demour and Wright nearly trying to go side by side around Andy Hudson, treating him like a mobile chicane. as they now look to swamp Sergi Sebastian on the descent of the mountain. As Demore and Wright chuck themselves up the inside. Sergi Sebastian hasn't lost out too much there. And Reece Tattersall really asserting his dominance over this race. Some 13 seconds up the road. And just 6 minutes to hold on to the lead of this race. And Sam McCarthy and Robert Weidbeck continue to battle over P4. As they're catching on to some of the back-marking Porsche traffic ahead of them. That looks like Manuel Antrax, I believe, has taken a journey through the pit lane. Oh no, it has not. Just find themselves a lap down. Laurent Demore and Chris Wright going side by side on the descent of the mountain. And this is good close racing between the two of them as the back snaps out there for Chris Wright. This is going to impact his run down through the chase. Opportunity to go side by side there for Wright, but now a little bit further behind. I wonder if there's a little bit more front damage there for Wright. A few more panel gaps, a little bit more drag affecting the front of his car, making it harder to try and make a move down this long straight. There's McCarthy and Weidbeck back onto the mountain. A relatively clear track ahead of them. As they head down through Skyline. We've got yellow flags out for a little in the mountain. But now the battle between Hudson and Sebastian closing up yet again. And blue flags are waving for Hudson as Nitro picks his way through. And there's Nitro, a little indecisive there on his move through. That has allowed Andy Hudson to close right up on the back of Sergi Sebastian. Now in the last 2.5 minutes of this race, we have a real battle on our hands. Matthew Parry, quickly closing it down on this pair. Should be able to make his way past both of them quite easily on this straight. Don't get too involved in this battle. Whoa! As that is that Turvey off the circuit? I think it's Craig Douglas doing a little bit of off-roading there. That was well avoided there by Sebastian and Hudson. As we've got yellow flags out again for Levinson in the mountain. The number 68 car, who's getting himself moving yet again. As they head back towards the mountain, Sam McCarthy and Robert Weibeck continuing to battle over P4 in this race. So there's still a reasonable number of battles continuing on this racetrack, and an awful lot of traffic management as our drivers head on to their final lap of this race. Weibeck having a look up the inside of Weibeck as Demore under serious pressure from Chris Wright as well. As Chris Wright looking to the inside of the chicane. Not close enough to stick a nose alongside, but a lot closer than he has been on previous laps. But too much is the gap for an attempt into the final corner. Sam McCarthy and Robert Weibeck ascending the mountain. See, where is Reese Tattersall? As he heads his way down the chase, a little way behind our battle, the lead of the BMW class. I think it will be one more lap potentially for our BMW leaders. Do you know? Could be wrong. I think. Oh, we've got a win there for Reese Tattersall, but yellow flags were out for Andy Hudson. What happened? Oh, out of fuel for Hudson, is it? Or perhaps just worrying that he was going to run out of fuel there, letting Tattersall go by. That's interesting. As we have Johan Leff taking P2 with Karol Petrovsky in P3. Sam McCarthy taking P4 with Robert Weibeck in P6. Christian Fager takes P7 in the race with a last corner overtake for Hans Luger to take P7 ahead of John Sawyer. Grant DeMore still battling with Chris Wright over P9. Will there be a last corner lunge from Wright? Nope. Opting caution as DeMore takes a well-earned P9 ahead of Wright in P10. Balazs Fahir crossing the line in P11 with Szynski rounding the final chicane for P12. When he finally crosses the line, as Parry and Nitro continue to battle behind. of a P13 and 14. And final battle on the final lap between Little and Martin, as Little getting a little bit of a slide through the final chicane. They come around the final corner to finish P15 and 16. As we wait finally for our BMW M2 race winner to round the final corner and finally see the checkered flag about 2 minutes after it started waving, is Sergi Sebastian, who will be followed by Robert Fish, the only two of our BMW M2 drivers to finish on the lead lap. And so P3 in the M2s was Andy Hudson. All remains to say is congratulations to our race winner, Reese Tattersall, and our Porsche Cup podium finishers, Johan Leff and Karol Petrovski, as well as our race leader in the BMWs, Sergi Sebastian, P2 Robert Fish, and P3 Andy Hudson. That was quite the race. And well, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the carnage up the mountain. And yeah, do check in on the pitskill.io YouTube and Twitch channels on Wednesday for the flagship series, the VIP trophy. And then at the weekend, we will, I believe, have you the Weekend Warrior, although I think TBC at the moment. And then next week, we will be heading, where will we be heading? Next week with the Porsche Cup, we will be heading to COTA. Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Will be a very different style of circuit from the one we've just seen. Much more space for traffic management and a lot less walls to hit. So yeah, hopefully the drivers will be able to keep their cars in one piece. Yep, I don't think drivers will be looking forward to taking a look at the situation of their pit rep after this one. I imagine that's taken quite the hammering. But alas, no. Always consider your internet numbers second, and the fun you have in the race should always come first. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I've been your host, Roy Weller. Do like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this content, and I will leave you with tonight's race highlights. Till next time, good night and goodbye.